Cash Flow Investors Live. So if you are new here, welcome. Make sure you are a member. If you're not a member, make sure you invite your friends and your family as members, right? Remember, what we're building to, as I've said, is this time we have a giveaway for 2 airline tickets, $1,000 each in value, so up to $2,000 in value. And that's what we're going to give away at the next drawing. The first 2 prizes were, one was a set of appliances. Second was the cruise giveaway, right? So, and what we're building to, and this is my goal, by the end of this year, we're building to a giving away a Mercedes basically by the end of this year. So what we want to do is, I've always had this idea that what would be exciting, what would be fun is that at every 3-day we give away 1 Mercedes. That would be really fun. That means that there are so many members within the group that we're able to basically say, hey, this would be a fun prize that we would give away. So gradually we're building that. And the way we're doing the drawings is that we want to encourage people that invite a lot of their friends, invite a lot of their family, invite other fellow investors that would like to get lots of topics 3 times a week that relate to real estate. So the fun part about that is this, that the more people that you invite, the more people that join. We keep a track of it every single day. Jennifer keeps a track of it. And if you invited a bunch of people earlier this year, guess what? Your chances of still winning are up. So it doesn't matter. The more people you continue to invite, the higher the chances are, because your name is gonna be in there that many more times, and your friends have a chance to win as well. So there's no cost to it at all whatsoever. And I think this is something really, really fun. Okay, having said that, today we're talking about short sales, and it's short sale explosion. So number one, I want to give you guys some numbers why we're talking about short sales today, and kind of where we are with the market today. So before we get into that, the important thing to understand is that as we talk about these topics, a lot of times we try to pick topics that are relevant to what we are talking about, and in terms of the market conditions. So if I look at the number of pre-foreclosures or short sales that are available today, there are about 12,000 pre-foreclosures that are available today. Now, not all of them are going to become short sales. So I'm going to pick up that number also. As to how many of them are going to end up being short sales. Because pre-foreclosures is when a homeowner has missed their payment, and they've missed the payment generally 90 days, 120 days, something like that. And at that point is when they basically start the foreclosure process, right? So when they start the foreclosure process, at that time, what happens is that's the first time say payment for January, then they miss their payment for February, they miss their payment for March, right? And then sometime probably in April is when that case is going to be filed. Now, whenever those payments are missed, a lot of times people are like, well, I can find out about it. No, you cannot, right? There is no way for you or I to know that somebody has missed their payments. But why? The reason is that the only person that at that time knows about it is the homeowner, the bank, or the investor, or the bank, and the credit bureaus, because it gets reported at the credit bureaus that, hey, this investor, this particular property, it's late 30 days, 60 days, 90 days. Now, when do we all get to know about it? We all get to know about it is when there is the case is filed, which is called lis pendens. So let's just say the case is filed on April 15th. Now it's public record. As soon as the case is filed against that person, so the bank says, hey, we're going to foreclose on the property. We're going to go through the foreclosure process. and that is called, that becomes a pre-foreclosure, meaning they're taking them through the process all the way to the time of auction. Now, at this point, we don't know whether this is a short sale or this is a regular sale. We don't know that, right? So now what's going to happen is this, that in all the properties that are pre-foreclosure properties, they're going to be properties that may have a lot of equity, right? You'd be shocked. About 8% to 10% of all the properties that go to auction, they have 20, 30, 40,000, 50,000 sometimes of mortgages that are owed. And the property is worth 150, 200, 250, 300, right? The property is worth a whole lot more money than what the mortgage is on it, right? We see this all the time. Now, is it all the properties? Of course not, right? Is it that there's majority of properties? No, but there's a good 5 to 8% of properties that go to auction that have, 30, 40, 50% equity in them, sometimes 60%, sometimes 70% equity in them, right? And so what percentage of that is going to be equity? So anytime, and this is an important rule to think about. So why we're talking about that is this, that before Corona, where we were numbers-wise, we were somewhere around 6,000 total cases for pre-foreclosure. Now, obviously, we know what happened a year and a half during Corona, right? There were no cases filed. There was nothing. I mean, you couldn't process the case, so they were just sitting. But after Corona, what has happened is all the cases that were pending, all the stuff that wasn't foreclosed on, all of that stuff has started going to auction. So I want to give you guys a perspective. Right now, as we speak, there are 12,309 or so cases that are pre-foreclosure, meaning they're in the foreclosure process, right? Now, to give you a perspective of how many properties went to auction in the last 90 days, right? So I'm counting from January 1st till today. In that period of time, there were 645 properties that went to bank-owned properties, that became bank-owned properties. So there were close to about 1,100 houses that went to auction from January 1st to today in March. So there were, I said, what was it? 1110, sorry, I'm trying to do my numbers here. About 1,110 houses that went to auction. Out of those, there were about 600 something that were 658 or so that became bank-owned properties. So why is that important to us? Well, if it's a bank-owned property, guess who's going to be the listing agent? A lot of the REO agents that do a lot of business, they're going to end up being the listing agents on these properties. So there was about 645 of those that became bank-owned properties. Excuse me. Now, how many were sold to investors? There were 460 something that were sold to investors like you and I. So this is when the property goes to auction. Only two things can happen. There's nothing else that can happen, right? Unless the property is canceled, of course, which is it's going to go back into line to go to auction. Sometimes, a lot of times they get canceled, the dates get moved, there's a stay order, somebody declares bankruptcy, all that kind of stuff. So then the property is not going to go to auction or it gets delayed, right? But otherwise, at the auction, there's only two options. Either somebody like you and I is going to buy the property, or number two, that it's going to become a bank-owned property. So that's kind of what happens at the particular auction. Now, today, we're talking about it before that, right? So maybe, hey, Joe, yeah, I keep telling you that I'm not going to use the board, and then I want to use the board. So, yeah, so let's use the board. So basically, I want to kind of show you guys, because I think it'll be more helpful in terms of, let me delete this, continue. Okay. So basically, it's something like this, right? That this is your foreclosure timeline. So this is the auction date, right? Time of auction, only two things happen. Either it becomes a REO property, or it becomes goes to a investor, right? So last year, in the last about 60 days or so, I'm going to 60, 65, 75, 75, 80 days since January 1st till right now, there were about 658 properties in the Chicago and surrounding markets that went to auction, and then they ended up reverting back to the bank as an REO. Now, the rest of them ended up going to about 450 something, ended up being bought by investors like us. Like, we bought some properties for folks from Platinum Mastery at the auctions of phenomenally good deals, right? And so that was kind of what happened. So there's about 1,100 sales. So think about it. In that many days, you take out the holidays, you take out weekends, you take out all that stuff. So every single day, you have a bunch of properties that are going to sale at the auctions, right? Now, when we look at it, the next part of it is what happens is that the way a pre-foreclosure starts is somebody has missed 30, 60, and 90 days of payments. So at some point, the bank comes in and files a basically files a lis pendens, which is a lawsuit against the homeowner. Right now, this process, this timeline is going to start. And in the Chicago and surrounding areas, the amount of time that it takes from this time to this time is anywhere from about 1.5 to 3 years for it to make its way through the auction, make its way through the pre-foreclosure, to the auction, depending on if the homeowner fights the case, if they don't fight the case, all that kind of stuff, right? So now, what is a short sale in this? So now when we look at this, you're going to have some properties where the property may be worth $200,000, the loan on it is $220,000, right? The property is upside down. That becomes a short sale. And that's the obvious thing a lot of times people think about. But here's the thing. As far as you and I are concerned, right? As far as you and I are concerned, this is important to understand. Anything that has less than 30% equity in the property pretty much is going to end up in a short sale. So just remember that anything that has less than 30% equity in the property is pretty much going to end up as a short sale. So what do those numbers look like right now? So what that looks like is this, that there are about 12,340 properties right now that are in pre-foreclosure, right? 12,340 in pre-foreclosure. So out of those, you have 70% properties that are either upside down, where the homeowner owes more than the property's worth, or there's just, by the time the property sells, right, all the fees are paid in terms of taxes, this, that, your realtor commissions, your attorney fees, your closing costs, all that kind of stuff. Basically, there's going to be a little bit of a deficiency. So what we do is first take out the 70% of the properties that have less than 30% equity in the property, right? So that puts us 70% of 12,000 is going to be what number? So that's going to be let's just say about 8,000 or so, right? About 8,000 or so properties are active properties that are going to be short sales in today's market, right? And this is what a lot of people don't understand, and this is what a lot of people don't get, that there's that much opportunity in this market today. So why is it such a good market? Why am I saying the short sale explosion? Because the reason why it's such a good market today, because lenders see the interest rates have gone up. Lenders are seeing that properties that need work, right, are not selling at the rate at which they were. Now, is the market still hot? Yes, it's hot in pockets, right? There are pockets, the C pockets, they're not selling as quickly. That's just a fact, right? Yet there are pockets that are in A pockets, in B pockets, they're selling like hotcakes, right? So it's kind of a little bit of a funky market right now. But properties that are not rehabbed right now, they're having a hard time selling, because guess who's buying? Homeowners that can basically qualify even with the high interest rates. There's a demand for that. Investors that were doing a lot of flips, a lot of stuff, that demand went down a little bit, because they're like, oh my God, what if we can't sell the properties as high as we used to be able to before the interest rate went up? So this is important for you and I to keep in mind. So what that does is this. If I look at the multiple listing service right now, how many properties are listed as short sales? Guys, there's barely you're going to find a handful, right? Maybe you may find literally a handful of properties, but guess what the inventory of properties is? That is not listed in the MLS. That is well in excess of 8,000. 8,000. Think about it. 8,000 properties where homeowners have distress, and it's going to be a short sale. So why is this a good time? Because what banks are doing is banks are aggressively negotiating short sales than they have done in a very, 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 very long time. Right? Before Corona, they were not doing it. During Corona, when the market spiked, of course, they were not going to do that because they're like, oh my God, market's through the roof. Right now, because the interest rates, you and I have a unique, kind of a unique chance to be able to pick up these properties at a great place. So what do you do? How do you find the homeowners? So if you are a part of the RIA meetings that we do, right, and if you attend the RIA meetings, let us, make sure you do attend those, and then we will send you that list. If you're a part of it, if you're coming to the next 3-day event when we do that, we will send you that. That way you can work that. So I'll give you an example of it. Today, I got a property that is actually somebody happens to be from the RIA. And this is a property that this person is worked out a deal with the homeowner. The homeowner owes $198,000 on the property. The property on the back end is maybe worth, so here are the numbers on it, right? Is that the homeowner owes about $198,000. So basically, it's not going to be 198 because now you're going to have attorney fees, this, that, all that kind of stuff, right? Plus, they have some arrears. So the arrears on this property were close to about $30,000. Plus, you're going to have some selling expense in terms of realtor, all that kind of stuff. That's another $15,000, taxes and all that. So actually what is owed on the property, even though you may think, Andrew, $198,000 is owed, the property is worth about $270,000. That's what the property is actually worth. Here's the problem with this, that at $198,000 owed, the property still needs almost $40,000 to $45,000 in work, right? That's the amount of work they need. So even if they reduce the price, try to sell the property, what would they have to sell the property for? So this is, so let's just assume this is 200, 230, 245, minus 2,000, so about $243,000 is what they would have to sell the property for. They had this property listed for 300. They had this property listed at 280. They had the property listed at 260. They had this property listed at 240. They had the property listed at 220. Then it came down to 199. And guess what? Still, the property has not sold. This was just gotten under contract, and here's the number. So what would you and I pay for this particular property? So $270,000 is a conservative value today for this property, right? And if I do this, our formula, so 270 times 0.7 is how much, Joseph? So we have a math genius in the office here. So 270 times 0.7. So that puts you at $189,000, right? 189,000, you're going to subtract 45,000 out of it. So the max minus 45,000. What is 45,000? 45,000 is the amount, not 4,500, 45,000 is the amount it would be needed for a rehab. So what is the max that I can pay for the property? $144,000 is the max that I could pay for the property. Here's the genius of this, right? This is a property not listed anymore because the owner got frustrated, took it off the market. And the investor made an offer on this to the bank for $125,000. The bank comes back, says, no, 125 is too low. We're going to take a minimum of 132. We have a short sale approval on the property for $132,000. And guess what? That's what the investor has it for. Now, he calls me. He's like, Andrew, man, I got it for 132. What do you think I should do? I'm like, well, I'm happy to pay you about $140,000. So if you want to take that offer, great. I'm willing to pay you $140,000. Guys, I'm getting a property that's worth 270, 280. I think I can get a better appraisal on the property, but I'm getting the property, which is a short sale. And the reason why I'm talking about this today is because there are so many of these opportunities, and the banks are willing to make deals with you. There's another one I just got. Miss Rose from Mastery is working on it for me, and that's a similar situation, right? Where you can buy these properties at some great prices today. So if you're not paying attention to this, right, please make sure you do. Join one of the RIA meetings when we really talk about this in much more detail, so you know exactly how to do it. With these lives, they're short, they're meant to be kind of to the point, but there's a tremendous opportunity. And the best part is this: a lot of these short sales are in some of the best areas that you would want, right? There's some great, nice A neighborhoods where you can pick up properties under market. Nobody knows about it. And guess where it is? It's on the hot list. That's the only place that short sale exists, because most people don't have access to that list. So if you're not paying attention to that, make sure you do. And before we sign off, I want to remind everybody that within the group, we have the happy hour, which is coming up on March 28th. It's right on the screen. If you click there, you can register for that. It's at the D'Agostino's Pizza and Pub in Wrigleyville, 1351 West Addison Street in Chicago. That's March 28th from 6:30 p.m. So 6:30 or so, bunch of investors. Blake from Mastery is going to lead that group. It's going to be talking a lot about wholesales, what's going on, an excellent chance to network. So if you have said, oh my God, Andrew, I don't get a chance to network, guys, this is the place. Show up, network, make great connections, and I will talk to you guys soon. And remember, as always, refer people to the group, and we will keep pulling your name out. Hopefully, you're the next winner for Trip for Two. And we're going to give the airline tickets away next time. So talk to you soon, and we will see you on Monday. Have a good day.